do a wide squat, we're gonna stand. We're gonna have our feet twice the width of your hips, your shoulders, your toes pointed slightly outwards. You're gonna point the butt back. You're gonna do a little hinge. We're gonna go straight down until you wanna have your hamstrings, your glutes, everything parallel to the ground as well as you can. And then push off the heels, come straight up. To do the wide squat with the step back, same formation. We're gonna go straight down. So there, just place your hands right there. We're gonna step back to extension, hyperextension. The joint actions for a wide squat will be external rotation on the hips, followed by abduction. We're gonna go down with knee flexion. Come all the way up, extension. For the wide squat with the step back, it will be the same formation, but when you're going to do the step back, we're going to have a hyperextension at the hip. We're going to come back forward with flexion. The muscles involved in a wide squat are your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your gluteus maximus, your calves, and a wide squat with a step back, it will be the same group of muscles, but we'll add our gluteus medius and minimus as well, and our adductors. The wide squat allows for more comprehensive movements that better works your hips than traditional squat. The wide squat with the step back helps develop key hip muscles for better stability and teaches you to control your backward movement for coordination.
Hi, my name is Joshua and I will be showing you how to perform a straight leg lunge. To be able to perform a straight leg lunge, you want to get into normal lunge position, roll shoulder blades back, chest out, and be able to push your heel back towards the air like this. And you want to really feel it on your glutes and your hamstrings while not putting your knee too forward ahead of your toes. The major joint actions we show in the straight leg lunge are hip flexion, as the leg you are working on when you lunge down and keep a straight leg. This is producing hip flexion, while your leg keeping straight right here is producing extension as well. You also want to focus on your knees. The knees are producing flexion as well as a major joint movement. And also your ankle, when you're extending this leg right here, it's producing dorsiflexion. Those are the major joint performances. Now I will discuss the major muscles that are being performed when I'm doing a straight leg lunge. As I get in a straight leg lunge position, my quadriceps right here, just the leg I'm working on the right side, is being worked, it's being flexed, and my calves on the right side are acting as a stabilizer. They're not flexed right now. These calves are flexed as I'm producing dorsiflexion with my ankle. This hamstring is getting stretched out, and my glutes are also being flexed as well while I'm working in this position. My abdominals are working as a stabilizer as well, as I push my chest out and isolate the legs. This exercise is great to open up your hips to prevent injury and increase more mobility, as well as strengthen and stretch out your lower body whenever injured, or to prevent injuries. A common mistake while performing the straight leg lunge is when you're lunging, you focus on going forward more than rather going down. When you're doing this movement, you want to focus on going down, putting your chest out and straightening out your leg, isolating the quads, the glutes, and the calves as well.
Alright, hi, my name is Jennifer Moore, and the first exercise we're going to talk about is the good morning. So the proper way to do a good morning, I'll give a side view. You're going to do a slight bend in your knees. Your feet should be in line with your hips. You're going to put your arms over your ears, stacking your arms like this. You're going to keep your head neutral, slight bend in the knees, push the hips back, making sure the back is staying straight, and then we're going to squeeze and come up. So the joint actions that are happening in a good morning is as we're going down, where our hips are doing flexion, down they're flexing, and on the way up they're extending. Here, since our shoulders are up, they're performing flexion and they're staying that way the whole entire time. Our knees are also performing flexion because they have a slight bend, and since they stay bent the entire time, it is the flexion the whole time. And then a good morning with T-reach. So a T-reach, we supinate the arms as far as we can, keeping them as horizontal as possible. So I'll show this one from the front. Same thing as a normal good morning, slight bend in the knees. Push our hips back, but this time, now there's nothing covering our head, so we have to really make sure we keep our chest up. Supinate the arms, making sure when we go down, they don't go like this. Try to keep them right here in this position, keeping the head neutral, and then coming up. So the muscles that are involved in a good morning are the hamstrings. On the way down, they are extending, and on the way up, they are flexing. We're also performing some trunk flexion as well. And a good morning with T-reach, this external rotation is being performed by the infraspinatus. That is the bottom of our scapula. So the purpose of a good morning is to work those hamstrings, get a good stretch in them, work in control while also being under a slight load. Some common errors in a good morning is a lot of people start to round their back the further they go down. So a good cue to fix that is think about pushing the chest up or opening that chest up and then coming up. Sometimes people also like to go too wide, so just a simple cue is putting them right below the hips will get the job done. If our feet are too wide, we can't push back as much, but it does allow us to keep our back a little bit straighter because some people are more flexible this way. Alright, like I said, in the good morning with T-reach, a lot of people as they start to go down, they like to bring their arms back. So a simple cue for people to fix it is, like I said, just being super conscious about keeping our arms horizontally, right in line right here. And then if we reach that point where we're not flexible enough or we do not have the mobility, then that's where we should stop our good morning.
Okay, so today I'm going to be demonstrating the good morning with a narrow stance. So the good morning is a movement in the frontal plane, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place your feet about hip distance apart, or maybe even a little closer in. And then you're going to have your arms crossed over like this, brace your trunk, and slowly push your hips back. You can have a slight bend on your knees, and I'll show it from this side. So again, right here, slight bend, and push over. And you want to have your weight distributed evenly across your whole feet. So some of the major joint actions include hip extension and isometric trunk flexion on the way down, and then a hip flexion and isometric trunk extension on the eccentric. The major muscles involved include the hamstrings, which are being stretched as you go down, as well as the glutes, which are also being activated, and the spinal erectors muscles. So the main purpose for a good morning is to generally activate the posterior chain, and this movement is primarily used to increase your leg and your back strength. So also good mornings can be used as a good alternative if someone has a physical restriction that may not allow them to do like a full conventional deadlift. And so some of the common errors that I've noted include the rounding of a lumbar spine. So I'll see some people kind of just start rounding out like this, or maybe there's not enough extension, or maybe there's too much extension. And so some cues that I like to give can be just simply helping someone imagine it. So imagine you're closing a door with your butt, just pushing back, right? And then another good cue is just to maintain your chest upright.
Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to do a wide base good morning. And to start it off, you're supposed to have your feet a little bit more than shoulder length apart. You put your arms just like this, stick your chest up, and throw your butt back and flatten out your back. Okay. flexor during this movement is the main power mover is your glutes. It's really doing all the work for you, and your back is extended while you're doing the movement, and your hips are also extended while you're doing this movement. And also, one of the main things that is being activated is your hamstrings. And also, this is it's kind of an older exercise that's not really done anymore, but it's really good for stretching out your hamstrings and stretching your back also. And a lot of people, they use a barbell on their back to do this exercise, but you could also do it, with your own weight and stuff like that. It's a really good stretch.